The topic on which I have been asked to speak, Why Democracy Matters, is not only thought-provoking but provocative, because it implies other questions. Does democracy matter? Does it still matter? Did it ever matter? To all those questions, I could give a resounding yes. Burma is one of those countries that lost democracy and are trying to find it again. I was fortunate to be part of a generation that grew up in a democratic society. When Burma became independent in 1948, we became independent as a parliamentary democracy. As a child, I took for granted freedom of expression, freedom of association, freedom of the press. These, for us, were common fare. And in those days, in spite of the fact that we had been plagued by armed insurgencies almost from the time of independence, we were one of the most progressive and vibrant nations in our region. We had a health system with which our people were satisfied, although of course always looking for something better, which is as it should be. We also had an education system which was sound and respected, not just in our region, but all over the world. And this, as I said, in spite of the many insurgencies with which we had to cope. We were able to achieve this because the government of our country was rooted in the elements of good governance, accountability and transparency, which are rooted in democracy. So I could say that democracy matters. It matters for progress. It matters for development. It matters particularly in a country like ours, made up of many ethnic nationalities. Unity out of diversity is possible only in an environment where peaceful, non-violent political means can be used to achieve the kind of society where we can coexist in spite of our differences, where people are confident that they will be given a fair hearing, where they believe that the basic foundation of justice and freedom would ensure their rights as citizens of one country, whatever their race, religion, or political ideologies might be. I mentioned justice and freedom specifically because a couple of weeks ago I met some school children. They were about 8, 9, 10, that age group. I asked them what they understood by democracy. One little boy said freedom, and then a little girl said justice. I thought that was not bad, considering the fact that they had been born into a military dictatorship and had never really experienced a full-fledged democracy in which they could be confident of their rights. But why justice and freedom? Why do people care so much about access to justice, access to freedom? Because it is only if we can be assured of justice and freedom that we can be confident that our voices will be heard. And hearing the voice of the people, listening to the voice of the people, taking into account the aspirations of the people are essential elements of democracy. So democracy matters. It matters for peace. It matters for peace in a multi-ethnic society. It matters for peace in a world where there are great diversities. In our country, we have been fighting for human rights and democracy when the people rose up against the dictatorial socialist Burma Socialist Party program government. It's a very long name, and but it was nothing like as effective an administration as its title.